everyone. Hope all is well. Just really another day, another chance, another day, another heartfelt feeling of hope. It's the 9 days. There's a lot of spiritual energies helping us to reach new heights, to get to a better place, mind, body, and soul. Today actually is a day where we're so close to Tisha B'Av, the fast, and hopefully we'll do maybe another Tisha B'Av preparation class tomorrow with an organization in Israel, so I'll keep you posted on that. And if it doesn't happen, maybe I'll make it happen. And so, because it's there's no counting the endless potential of these holy days, and in preparation for our fast day. But today we're actually going to focus on things that we could do tshuva about, more in line with the physical things that we get involved in, and the physical things that we may engage in that is actually taking away from our spiritual core powers. And Chazal actually say that you should really, when you daven, you should really daven for one thing. But the question is asked, well, but like we're davening for so many different things in the Shmona Esrei, and we're davening that we should have money, we daven for this, but really everything we're davening for, including, I should have health, and I'm even davening that Hashem gives me the strength to do the right things to keep myself healthy. All of them is L'Shem Shamayim. It's all for Hashem's sake. So if you're only really can focus on really the essential of all the things that you're asking for, the bottom line, the Chasam Sofer says, is it all boils down to one request, and that request is to be close to Hashem. And there's a pasuk, Achal sha'alti me'et Hashem, shifti beveit Hashem. It's a very famous song, and we're singing it, and there's just one request, and the one request is to be close to Hashem. And the way we take care of ourselves, the way we engage in the physical, the way we pursue the physical, the one request while engaging is through this deed, I'm closer to you, Hashem. And I had 2 conversations, one this morning and one last night, and part of my conversation with this person last night, she's actually sleeping over, and so she's here, and she's going to be a surprise guest to share her story, because once you hear her story, you'll be like, wow, hopefully it'll give you more hope, because sometimes we really are such a lover of helping, a lover of being, there for everyone, that we dismiss the love of self and the self-care to really understand the byproducts of, and the ramifications of not caring for yourself. Even in your holy pursuits of being so good for everyone, because you have such a giving and loving heart, that it's very easy to disregard your responsibilities to yourself so that you can be there for others. And so many times, life experiences can also go the opposite way. You give so much of yourself, and you can also too much indulge in the material to reward yourself, or trauma happens, and an experience happens, and your circuits of your brain literally are a bit frazzled because it was really traumatizing. It wasn't easy to hear the news, to see how someone behaved toward you. And I was just having a conversation today with someone that was like, sometimes a person, when they go through these experiences, they have to not only rebuild their circuits physically, by meditating, contemplating, brain training, and all kinds of techniques to really strengthen your mind's ability to regroup these circuits that can get frazzled. Hearing one negative word, we always hear how it can literally damage a circuit of your brain. I mean, that's how perfect Torah is. It's like, even one word can destroy. So I was thinking, like, what we need to really do is rebuild the circuits of our emunah and our bitachon also while we're going through that phase of recovering from whatever we went through, so that we don't go for the physical pleasures to reward ourselves. Sometimes another conversation I had also this morning, we don't see the results of the effort, so we give up. We just forget about it. Like, what's the big deal? And it's not about, oh, look how slim I am, or look how, shiny and radiant I look, and I look healthy. It's like really what's going on inside. So even though you're not seeing the results on the outside, you need to understand that don't give up. Continue, because things are happening that, please God, will give you even 20 years more of a good life. Even if you're not seeing the manifestation of your efforts on your body. Because what's going on inside, you're losing maybe a lot of fat around your heart. You're losing a lot of visceral fat inside in the stomach, even if it's still bloated, because you might be not, there yet. And it takes time for some people. So we should love ourselves for where we're at. Definitely. And not feel shamed in our own eyes, and not feel, belittled. But at the same time, we can't give up, because this is the house of our soul. This is the physical organ that's going to actually be taking care of my potential of doing more goodness and kindness for many years to come. So, so everything that I do, I try my best to be at peace with the process and love myself while I'm seemingly failing, but it's really farthest from the truth. Because even spiritually speaking, like, you restrain and don't overindulge, you gain spiritual powers, you gain spiritual sensitivities, you gain powers of your soul that allows you to, have access to the revelation of your soul. The truest part of you becomes more and more, even if you're not seeing the results of your efforts in a physical way on your body. So there's a book, we've been studying it, thank you Sarah who sent it my way, Getting to Know Your Soul. And a lot of the book is really about how to steer away from fake and fraudulent secondary pleasure that's not the real deal, and align yourself with the true pleasure. Sha'alti, I'm begging, I'm asking Hashem, I only want you to be my true pleasure. So it says here that, when you clear yourself away from the fraudulent pleasure, that there's this element of vitality and peace and calmness, because your soul is more free. It's not choking. It's not buried. And interesting, and again, this is an anonymous writer, but he writes that, and it could have been a woman, that, when the Torah was given when there was peace and quiet. Like, there was silence. And with the silence and the total quiet, like, his power and his energy and blessings and everything that he wanted to bestow upon the earth came through that silence. So when you have that inner peace and that calmness, because you're not agitated, you're not nervous because you're not eating the wrong foods, and you're not under eating to the point where you're hangry. I learned that concept. Hungry and being leads to being angry because of hunger. because you're so agitated and you have no peace of mind because you're so famished and so, challenged by the lack. So he says that, or she, the author, that, you're able to deal with adversity much better because of this inner peace and quiet. And it was fascinating because he mentions the author mentions, so used to saying he, that back to this idea of there's one ratzon. That ratzon comes from the word, ratzon is a will, but ratzon is also run. Like your one will to run toward godliness. And if it's something that's going to take you away from godliness, run away in the other direction. So what should be our single drive and force, and where are we heading to? What are we trying to fulfill? Well, many people feel lacking of self-love, lacking of feeling complete, there's so much missing in their life. So then they run toward the physical to satiate somewhat what's lacking in their life. Oh, I don't have joy. Well, this piece of cake makes me feel happy for the moment. Feeds my animal soul, causes my fiery temperament to get more angry because I just gave power over to this animal soul. Or if I'm an earth element, I ate into this piece of thing that's so chemical, so sugar, so affecting my brain, so making me tired, so much gave more power to my animal soul. And if I'm a dominant earth, I become more depressed. Or if I'm, a more dominant water element, then I become more addicted. And there's just, or I'm arguing more if I'm an air element because I just gave power for the animal soul to be stronger and have its hold over me. So, from the word ratzon also is the word tsar. And tsar is a limitation. And the limitation is, again, we feel we're lacking. We feel like we're not satiated soulfully. We're feeling bereft of that feeling of inner peace and happiness. And so we run toward the material, hoping and thinking that's going to make me happy. That's going to make me complete. That's going to make me feel alive. And the idea is when you take pleasure in your soul and you take pleasure in yourself, revelation of your soul, that's real pleasure, because that's where God is, in you. So, because when we more return to our source, then we have the ability to feel more complete. And we're feeling more complete, then we're not as easily running after things to make us feel complete. Whether it's food, whether it's a bigger home, whether it's, whatever. And God wants us to bless us with everything in its right time and in the right moment where God feels that your soul, can benefit and elevate. And, because the Alter Rebbe in Tanya says we have a portion of this word to elevate. The food we eat, the things we use, it's our portion of the world that we need to elevate. Sometimes too much restriction, too much shying away from the material. We're going to go up to Shemaim. I think it was the story with the Alter Rebbe, and they're going to ask the Chassid, where are the sparks of the portion of the world that you elevated? You too restricted yourself. You too fasted. You didn't elevate your portion. And then you have to come back down so there is holiness to the material. We can't run away from it, but we need to harmonize the physical with the spiritual and have a godly intent while involved in it, So, so this is a very, very difficult balance because, it's one thing, you go to AA and if you have if a person's alcoholic and like it's very difficult for them, and they say like don't go to bars because why tempt yourself, For us Jews, it's a little harder. We have Kiddush every Friday night. We have so many holidays with wine, so it's not so simple for them. But with food, you have to engage in food like 2-3 times a day, and it's just like you can't get away from it. So it's a little harder than breaking, alcohol addictions, because you don't go to the bar, you don't go, it's not, you get it out of your house. You can't get food out of the house. You have to survive. So it's not an easy battle, but when we more work on not feeling the lack, the more we don't, we don't find ourselves in this running to fulfill what we lack, because we'll train ourselves to feel fulfilled, to feel our soul, to feel like that we're not lacking. Interesting, in one of the Tanyas was, I love this Tanya, oh my gosh, like when Yaakov actually says, like, why did he have to beg Hashem, like, please save me, like Hashem promised him a safe journey, because he was like so blown away how many kindnesses God did for him. He's just like, I don't know, how much more kind can God be? Like, maybe I used up all my, kudo points of all the blessings, and now I it belittled him from all the kindness in his life, that like he felt a desire to have to pray to make sure that like he's still worthy of all those blessings, because he got so much blessing. So when we feel satiated and we focus on how much blessings in our life, we're like on high and we're blown away, like, oh my gosh, I have so much good, so you're not as easily running for that something to make you feel satiated, because you're so grateful and you're so thankful, like you're so happy that you don't need that food or that thing to make you happy. So the so the idea to be able to have pleasure in oneself. There's like 5 levels of pleasure. There's types of people that get pleasure. The book, The Languages of Love, like there's different type of personalities. Some like give, some like this. So, there's hierarchy in what we run after to have pleasure. Some people love music, some people like, they're more intellectual, they like ideas, and some people are, have the lower pursuits of whatever it is, but there's the highest pursuit of pleasure. Even the intellect is really high, but you can use your intellect to learn other things that are just not so good for your brain, but the true ultimate pleasure and to want to have oneg in the loftier things is to be able to have pleasure in oneself. And that's like, what? Like that seems like, so egotistical, and we're supposed to be humble, we have to be like the moon, and we have to lower ourselves, but even in the Beit HaMikdash, it actually taught us how like, the brass is like considered, barzel is like brazen also, like, but in the making of the artifact of the Beit HaMikdash, Mizbeach was also a hollow and earth base. So like, we have to be humble and know, like Moshe Rabbeinu, my gifts are because Hashem gave it to me, but I'm celebrating the gifts Hashem gave me. I'm brazen. I feel strong about who I am. I love myself. I connect with my higher power of God within me, and this is the ultimate oneg that I can experience here on earth. And when I have that, then I can have more oneg in the people around me. But if I'm constantly looking at what's wrong with me, what's missing in me, I always feel lack, and then I want something to fill the lack, and then I'll constantly be looking at other people and not be able to see the good in them either. So the primary oneg, the primary pleasure is within oneself, not the physical things outside of ourselves. Yes, Rambam says, go take a walk, take pleasure, calm your mind for the sake of learning Torah. For the sake of all these things that we do, and Hashem wants us to have the pleasure of the world, otherwise He wouldn't have made it. But again, for a holy purpose, not to numb ourselves, bury ourselves alive almost, and then, God forbid, bury ourselves earlier because we have problems with so many diseases and problems. So, and we, our sages tell us you should have a nice home, you should, want a nice wife and a nice furniture, and it expands the mind. It just, there's something to order, Remember one of my clients says she was a young teenager and she couldn't, her house was so cluttered. Her mother was one of those hoarders and couldn't invite people to home, and she just felt constricted. And I remember after hearing that story, I had to start getting really more on top of myself, of keeping more order in my home, always helping, always going, doing, and all my home, okay, whatever, it's not the end. And it woke me up. Oh, chesed starts at home, and realize that, what your home is about is also affecting your others. But so it's not just for comfort, it actually affects you spiritually, all these things. But l'shem shamayim, not because you want to show off that you're a millionaire and you have the nicest, house on the block, and for reasons that are not connected to holiness. So when your pleasure is connected to ratzon and the one singular will of having true holy pleasure, that's when the inner peace and the calm, that's when things begin to feel good within, so you're not as attracted to the outside. And interesting, I was reading in one of the Hayom Yoms, and it's something we could think about every week, because we do this every week in Havdalah, that, we know we have emotions. We know science teaches us that the emotional part of the brain works 3 to 4 times faster than the rational part of the mind. And we know, and science teaches us through meditation, learning, and purposely activating the holy potential of our brain, we could reverse, and we can have 3 to 4 times faster rational thinking over emotion. But today, when I was reviewing this Havdalah ceremony and the symbolism of what's going on in Havdalah, every week we can remind ourselves of the battle between our emotional pull of our heart of wanting desire, our rational mind knowing it's not good for us, but yet there's no connection, and our heart just takes us places into the danger zone. So how do we have many classes on how to do that. So if you're new here in the group, please go back to my website, yournewheights.org. I have books on it too, but just something to share, another key ingredient and another meditation we can do while doing Havdalah to remind us of this mission of trying to get our mind to have more power over our emotions, so that our emotions that feel sad or angry or whatever, and wanting to reward ourselves with a physical. And then that's the vicious cycle. So the intellect seeks objective knowledge of reality. It really wants to also have its influence on our body, so we choose the right way of being. Our emotions manifest our subjective feelings. We just went through something, and so the desires percolate. The pleasure of the things around us, then we're more pulled toward. So, but we want them to be in harmony. We want the animal soul that's mainly in our heart, and the godly soul is in our heart as well, but mainly it's also in our mind, to work together in unison, so that the mind can activate the pnimiyut of our heart. Now, the pnimiyut, the inner essence of the goodness in our heart that has the desire to love ourselves and the pleasure of godliness in ourselves and the pleasures of davening and learning and the pleasure of chesed, and that's in the pnimiyut of our heart. And once we activate this harmony between our heart and our mind, then the activation of our inner essence of our heart works together with our mind, and we have less of a struggle. So what does this have to do with Havdalah? It says here that, when we say the word Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol, we have an awareness that, that Shabbos was amazing, right? And we want the Shabbos powers of our soul to go into the weekday, right? We don't want to, Hashem separated the mundane and the holy, and our job is to bring in the holy into the mundane. And that's why it says the word hamavdil, because we're trying to, separate ourselves from the unholy, make whatever physical endeavor we're doing be fused with the holy, and it takes an effort, extraordinary effort to stop yourself, to restrain. It's something that's like a real effort to go beyond yourself and the limitations of yourself. So this is a key point here. When we transcend ourselves, and it could be in a simple way. I wanted to scream back to this person that was screaming at me or shaming me. And we restrict and we refrain. And we don't give in to, let's say, saying something back. Or now I had such an experience. I just want to have popcorn and cakes and ice creams all night long and numb my feelings of shame and pain. But I restrict myself and I go for the holy pleasure and I go beyond what's natural in my heart to do. Whether it's bad habit, whether it's, because of whatever traumas we have. So when we go beyond our natural order of what we tend to do and break that, so we elicit from Hashem to go beyond the limits of what He gives us and gives us access to the transcendent part of His being in us, in essence, the revelation of our soul. So the bracha that is said here when we say Havdalah, it says these two opposing words. One word is Baruch, which is a drawing down. And Hamavdil is like separating. So it's like almost opposite things. So when we make the effort to separate ourselves from the natural order of things, whether it's indulgence, whether it's a response that we indulge in that's not holy, then we're capable to Baruch, to draw from Hashem down this transcendent power to then have my heart and mind in more harmony the next time and the next time. Each time we're using our spiritual muscles to draw forth extraordinary transcendent spiritual powers so that we become more spiritually muscular the next time around. So imagine now doing Havdalah with that. Imagine really paying attention to what's going on, and when we look at the light, and when we're holding the cup and the wine is pouring over, it's like through this experience of going beyond myself, it's like Hashem is going to pour more into my Neshama, so I'll have greater power to even succeed and go beyond my limited limitations. So, wow. I'll leave you with this. I really want to say there's so much more each time. I'm like, I think I have to do an hour. I put in the flyers a half an hour, but I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that take me just a half an hour? And I have so much more, and each time there's so much more. But this is a book that I actually got for free. Everyone got for free when they came to a class, the Positivity Vibes. It's a simple book, but so powerful in the sense of, sometimes not simple. I'm saying in its simplicity, the way it was beautifully written, and the stories and the examples of her personal life is just so motivating and so inspirational. I want to read the whole book in one time, but one of the things, so it's, is it ever enough? And it's a journey toward joyful living, and this is from Sarah Patcher. And the whole theme is to get used to, enough. Chasing and all this different, journeys that we have, so that we can really be at peace with what is. I always say that. And then, love yourself as is, and, you're making your steps toward the journey of, reaching new heights. One of the things she says, and I apply this to our goal in everything in life, but especially in regards to keeping ourselves healthy, is to get SMART, right? And her acronym for SMART is really be specific about your goals. Oh, I just want to be healthy. You have to really, I was also listening to a podcast with someone who said, and it's been something that I wrote in my book also, you really have to write down, and even your first step, write down, what are you eating? Make the connection. When I eat this, I'm tired. If I eat this, I have a headache. Just really, and even yesterday, the rabbi class that I went to, said that, this guy who was trying to go on a diet, he just wrote down what he wrote. You were there, right? Yeah. So he says, just by writing it down, he saw, wow, and that began to help him change his eating pattern. So be specific. And to be specific, you have to like a little journal, see what's going on, make connections. And for the acronym SMART, make sure, measure it, pay attention to the goals that you want, the specific goals, and measure it. Is it something that's attainable? Sometimes we have such a high goal and we want to get to it so quick. One podcast said if you're lucky if you do 1 pound, you lose weight on a proper scale, not the fake scales that don't really tell you what's going on. Because you might be gaining muscle and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not losing any weight, but you're actually gaining weight, and it's just really, your fat is turning to muscle, so it's fraudulent to look on the scale. So measure it properly and see if your goal is attainable. Is it scientifically possible? Although she said 1 pound a week, when I would take my family to these retreats, we were able to lose 4 to 5 pounds in 1 week doing the detox. So if you want to, and then the R is relevant. Is it even relevant for you right now? You have to maybe talk to your doctor. Is it something that you can do right now? Are you pregnant? Are you nursing? There's so many things that maybe you have too much of a goal that's not even relevant to you right now. You're home, you have children. Don't go all out at something and then at the expense of, doing something that's really, time is of the essence. Because the next one is T, time bound. So we are getting there. I can't tell you how excited I am to see the people who join these groups and have been part of my groups for a couple of years now. Seeing people lose 60 pounds in 3 years, it's off, and 40 pounds, and people who are on cholesterol medicines, and because of this protocol, was able to get off cholesterol medicine, looking and feeling 20 years younger, and losing the weight for the sake of our house of our soul, and mainly that. So I'm really happy that you joined, and please love yourself as is. It's not about how you look on the outside. It's about how you're taking care of your body. That's going to give you the length of your day today and full of vitality, and the length of your days to be able to do God's work and make a world a better place by you being here longer and in a healthier state. thank you for joining, and we're going to join with Sarah right now. So happy that we're going to have another speaker here that's here live with me. So Sarah, how are you? Thank you for, she's a special Neshama, willing to help. And I'm so sorry, I was out late last night, had a guest over. I was not so prepared today, and I have to write it on amazing credentials, but was part of a team of AA and saw that there were still things missing and wasn't able to really get to her place. And when she joined the CBTT protocol, really started seeing a major difference. She has a master's degree. She's very qualified in nutrition. She's constantly getting all kinds of certificates and continuing in her ability to help with more knowledge.
Baruch Hashem, I'm so glad to be a part of this group, and thank you for having me be a part of the group, and so grateful. I'm hoping to really, us working together can really help support the women in a way where they can really have that salvation that they need, that redemption, that personal redemption of their souls. So I'm really hoping that this is, what we're able to do for all of the women that are participating and those who may catch the recording afterwards. So, Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and just jump right in. And everyone, can you?
I can.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So I have a couple sources that I want to use for our activity today. We're going to need another piece of paper and just one pen. You don't need the different colors today. And we're just, we really want to delve into more and more with the CBTT practice that we're learning from Rabbi Yerushalmi, and really bringing down the high-level teachings that she's giving us to actual, down to the mahut level, to bring it into practice, especially, during times when we are being attacked with cravings or, pleasures or different things. So I'm using the source, Reaching New Heights, her book, Rabbi Yerushalmi, Reaching New Heights, through health and happiness. So she mentions in this book about mushy mind. That mushy mind isn't good. It doesn't help you think well. If you're full of all of these negative thoughts, if you're full of just basically the residue from the negative chemicals that are left over from the foods that we eat, or how they process the foods, GMO type foods and things of that nature, foods that have bioengineering products in them. Those are those things that it's hard for our bodies to really process properly. So mushy mind, right? You got mushy mind going on. So in this book, it talks about meditation and guided imagery. So we're going to do a little bit of meditation and guided imagery from using our imagination to draw in, that power that we need to overcome our evil inclinations. So we're going to delve a little bit more into, we went into water last week. This week, we're going to delve a little bit into fire, right? So what is the superpower of fire? The superpower of fire is destruction, right? So fire can be used to cook. It can be used to warm, right? It can be used, or it can be used for destruction, right? We've seen house fires and things of that nature when fire is outside its boundaries, right? So what also does fire represent? Din, justice. And we're in the month of Av, right? We're in the month of what represents, the tribe represents in this particular month is Shimon, the sense of hearing, right? And it talks about how Shimon was represented like strict justice. But an elevated version of that was Yitzhak. Yitzhak was also was justice, but he was able to use it to elevate, right, to serve God. So we're going to delve into the fire element, right? So let's name it, right? We talked about last week about naming the elements. Last week we worked with our water element and we named it. We did some exercise with that. This week we're working on naming our element of fire. So at the top of your paper, I would like you to name the fire part of you, the part of you that's, let's talk on the good side, the part of you that's constantly aspiring to rise higher, the passionate part, the fiery part, the part of you that's constantly energized with the wanting to sit higher, to elevate, to grow, to expand. What part of you? Name that part of you. Name that part, that part of you that's fire. That part of you that when you see injustice, it raises up in you like, you know what? I'm just giving it like a sound, but you can kind of get my gist of, you know what I mean? What is that? Name that. Name that part of you. Give it a name.
Can you give an example of your naming it? Like, what will you name it? If that's okay?
Okay. So, the fiery part of me, I named, like, because I like, that part of me likes to run, and it's like, it's fiery. So I named it Riz. So it's like Riz, like I read somewhere where it was something about running, and you mentioned something about running earlier.
Yeah.
Right? So that part of me, when I'm feeling like a lot of energy and I need to do something with it, right? It's that fire, that intensity. I'm like, okay, that part, Riz, she's rising up in me. Okay, I need to do something with her. So we go for a run. So this is just this element, this part of your soul, that how it manifests, maybe in how you present to the world or how you interact with others, how you do what you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay. So give yourself a name for that part. Anybody have any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. So this part of you that you've named, we're going to work toward getting acquainted with this part of yourself from a different aspect this particular time. Okay, now I'm not good with speaking Hebrew. I'm a very much as a novice at this, so please forgive me.
Me either, even after 34 years. Yeah.
Okay, so it's in the book Reaching New Heights. It mentions Chassidus teach Moach Shalit al Halev. The mind can control the heart, right? So when we get acquainted with, when we understand what's going on in our mind, then our mind can take control of our heart. Sometimes our heart can try to take control of the whole situation, and then it's out of control. Then we've lost control, whether it be with the eating, you know what I mean? Like our heart, our passions, right? Talk about fire, passions and all these things, right? Our passions can get the best of us, and it can manifest in our cravings. You know what I mean? So we might crave certain kinds of foods because we're feeling a certain kind of way. Our passions are leading us in a certain kind of direction. So it's giving us cravings for a certain type of food. You know what I mean? So we want to reprogram it so that our mind controls our heart. So once we get to know the element, the fire element, a part of us, right? We get acquainted with this part of us. And then now we get curious. Now, it talks about Initialize 25:28. A man who does not restrain his own spirit is likened to a breached city without protected wall.
Wow.
Right?
Love that.
So, in this particular situation, what is the city? Our body is the city. Right? So, what are the breaches? Let's talk about the 5 breaches that can be the breaches within our city. Denial.
Wow.
Blame. Shame.
Wait, denial. What was the second one?
Denial. Blame.
Shame. Guilt.
And the last one is despair, which we did not mention that despair doesn't exist, right? But in these situations when we're engulfed in the forces of darkness, right? It can feel very much like despair when we're engulfed with the other things, right? When it's overtaken us. So what's the city? So these are the breaches. So we get to know this part, this element, this fire part of our soul, right? That we named, right? And let's get curious. Where part of me do I feel denial? That's a breach. Where am I in denial? And take a minute and just ask yourself. And we can discuss it. It's not, you can write it down if you like, or if you want to talk about it, if you just want to mention something, a place within your life where you may feel in denial. Or that if someone has told you that you are in denial about this thing, you maybe put it a bit like behind you, like, okay, whatever. But then you're noticing certain actions, midot, where that is actually true, and you have to go back and say, oh, this person is right? Where am I in denial? Where do I tell myself a story, right? Now, there's a place for that, right? There's a time and there's a place, right? And there's a time to use imagination when there's needed. But when we're using it to avoid, right? When we're telling ourselves a story to avoid, that's not healthy. We're not getting to the essence, the truth of who we really are. To really serve God. We're told, commanded to love Him. What does that mean? Right? We gotta pull that part in, that part of us that wants to lean towards the wrong direction, go toward those desires of the heart, right? So, where do I blame?
Very good. You
Where,
nailed
that's
it. Wow.
Where am I blaming? Where am I not taking accountability and responsibility for my actions, myself, what I say, how I treat others? And perhaps maybe you have that part down. Maybe you're really good with treating your spouse well. Maybe you're good at with interacting good with your children and bonding with them well, and in your community, and you're doing that well. Maybe it's yourself. What do we say in the morning before we do prayers? I accepted myself in this for loving myself, loving my neighbor as I love myself. We forget the as part, y'all. We forget it. We forget as I love myself. We be doing that neighbor part. Oh, I got my neighbor. That's what Mr. Rushaline was mentioned earlier. I can hold my neighbor down. I'll pray with them. I'll be there for them. I'll tell them some good words of Torah to encourage them. But what about me? What about me? What about when I need it for myself? It says David encouraged himself. Huh? He encouraged himself. So what do we do? Right? But first we got to look at the breaches. We got to inspect it. Right? These are ways in which the klipa can come in and pull the good that you're trying to do on the other side. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We want all the good to stay on our side. Right? We need all the good we can get. Right? So where am I in denial? Where am I blaming? Where am I in shame? Where am I in shame? Where don't I accept myself? What part of me doesn't accept me? What part of me is so, we talk about fire, right? That part of us that's a superpower, right? But when it's not used correctly, it can do the opposite, right? So where am I being self-destructive? How can I love my neighbor as I love myself? How can I do that if I'm tearing myself down with the negative thoughts, with the criticism, with the, speaking with Shahara against myself? I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, I'm ugly, I'm this, and so-and-so and so and sis, and so-and-so is bad, and I'm comparing. What does it say? Thou shalt not covet. Right? When we're looking at our neighbor and we're looking at them and thinking that we should have what they have, are we not coveting? Right? What are we doing here? Right? What happened? What happened in the beginning? What Cain saw Abel's sacrifice, and the jealousy rose up in him. Right? So, and what was asked? He said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Am I my brother's keeper? I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother. I am my sister. So when I'm filled up, right? When I'm feeling these breaches, I'm identifying where the denial is. I'm identifying where the blame is. I'm identifying where the shame is. And I'm accepting this part of myself that I feel so shameful. So shameful. And I reprogram, I change, I renew I recalibrate. That is not who I am. That is not the truth. That is not the truth who I am. Dismissing, separating light from darkness, right? That is not the truth. What is shame telling you? Shame is filled with lies. What are the lies that you've been telling yourself? That's not true. That you have to undo. That's not true about me. I don't believe that. No, I do not believe that. No, I do not believe that. What did he say? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully, wonderfully made. And what does it say in the LOI Neshama? My God, the soul you placed in me is pure. You created, molded, and breathed it in me. Pure. Not tainted. Not destroyed. Not broken. Pure. Next one, guilt. Where is the guilt? Where are we carrying the guilt? Because the guilt puts you in a place where you're paralyzed. Because I feel guilty about this, I'm not gonna act on it because and not in a good way. I mean in a way where I'm avoiding, I'm ignoring, I'm neglecting. I'm looking in this direction. No, we have to face it, right? So once I face it, I take the power out of it. I'm no longer a victim in the situation. I'm a victor in the situation. So if this negative attribute is raising up in me, right? Hashem is highlighting this in me so that I can do the rectification. Because we came to do the tikkun, right? We came to make the rectification. Our soul came here to do the change. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's okay. So when I face my negative attribute about myself, when I look at it face to face, I see you. And we're going to work on this together with Hashem's help. Because I can't do it without him. We are going to fix this. The last one, despair. Where are you being? Where's that sadness dragging you in? Okay, you weren't successful today. It didn't work out. You messed up. Okay, now what? Now what? What do we do? What do we do? We reach out for help. I look to the hills. From where does come my help? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Huh? The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. So I reach my hands out like a baby. When a baby is reaching out to you, do you say no? Of course you don't. You grab them, right? If a baby is coming to you, if your grandbaby or your baby is coming to you and he or she is crying, what are you going to do? You're going to embrace them. Come here. I have you. It's okay until it passes. Sometimes we got to do that with ourselves. Sometimes the little girl in us is afraid. She's scared. She's terrified. And she wants to do right. And she just needs comfort. She doesn't need the judgment. She doesn't need the criticism. She doesn't need the blame. She doesn't need the shame. She needs the comfort. Comfort. Huh? That's what he says. And I will comfort. So you, wherever you may feel that intensity of these breaches, go, touch, give yourself support. So if you feel it in your chest, in your heart, and you feel that intensity, okay, give it attention. Whatever you name the element, this part of you, whatever you named it, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm okay. You're okay. And rock. Rock like you would a baby. Would you rock your baby till would you rock your grandbaby till he or she is okay? Rock yourself. And as you're rocking yourself, Hashem is rocking you. Because aren't we all his children? So that this is how you work towards bringing the high, with the high level of what this high level Torah down to the low places. What did Moshe say? It's not in heaven above. Where you say, where is it? Where can I get it? Or down below? It is near you. Near you. Not far near. any questions, any comments, any feedback, anyone?
Oh my gosh, my lovely soul sister, you're on fire. We all love you. I keep getting so much positive feedback. I'm so happy you're part of our team here. Incredible. No words. Wow. You just feel your soul entering, and the power of your words just like penetrate and shifts and clears, and so proud of you. Oh my gosh. Daughter of it's called Bas HaMelech. You are a Bas HaMelech, a daughter of the king. Wow. It's like, wow. Unbelievable. We'll save question and answers maybe for later, unless you have to go. Do you have to go?
No, you're good. No,
I mean, let's see. I'm afraid to touch my phone. Last time I touched my phone, I couldn't get back to where I need to go to. So if you want to check if there's any questions or answers, so they can ask you, or if there's not, maybe. Wow, I'm very inspired.
And I don't see any questions over here.
Okay. So, thank you. And now I have this beautiful Neshama who's her own fire in her own special way. And those of you who might have remembered the last retreat, I've been doing retreats in Israel and here. And the last time, wow, all of us who were here saw her and her challenge and her falling. And I was gone for a while, hadn't seen her, and she came to my class last night, and she slept over. Here, let me introduce her. Her name is Ruchama, and just also someone who's studying CBTT, also a licensed counselor, and I just looked at her, and first of all I thought she was wow, she looked like 10 years younger. Saw such a radiance. I was almost honestly scared almost to invite you because, as you see, when I go from place to place, I'm rushing, we have to park, we have to, I'm trying to get closer here so we can be seen together. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to walk slowly. What if I don't find parking close and I have to drop her off? And, it was all the calculations because, you want to be professional on time. And all of a sudden, she's really walking really well. And without, almost because we've been on the phone a little bit and she was on she'll tell you your story, but in such a short period of time, following the approach of taking care of yourself and eating right, wow. And like I said, when I took my mom to these places, and in 1 week and a half, from a wheelchair to being able to walk, this is another walking miracle story that I am so happy that you could share with others, like your experience of seeing such a huge difference in such a short period of time. You really do look radiant, and so you're always beautiful, but just you could see it. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I can say I'm not really prepared for this.
Right.
It's not something I knew was going to happen. Miriam and I were just talking last night, and she was listening to what has happened. You look so much better. You look so different. What have you been doing? What's changed? And then I'm sitting and trying to think about it. So, wow. I have had some falls over the last number of years. And I've tried different things, and physical therapy, and
Go ahead, sorry. On Zoom they can see you too.
okay,
Go ahead.
many different things, and thinking to myself, oh, now I've got it. Now it's getting better. And then a very short time, it just goes back. I had an accident years ago, and I fell and damaged my spine really, really badly. And I've had a number of surgeries. I've been in a wheelchair. I've been using a walker. I've been using a cane. And my new thing, which is really exciting, is a walking stick, which people use to walk up mountains and whatnot. It allows me to be upright and see the world, and I feel like that's a big, huge change. So the most recent fall, I actually fell off my bed thinking I was just turning over, made a huge mark in my wall where my head hit, and ended up in the hospital. My kids took me to the hospital. They did a lot of tests, a lot of looking at my brain and everything. And, you know, there's some answers with that, but I don't think that was the main thing. I think the main thing is when I got back from the hospital, my kids were very, 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 very concerned, very frightened by this experience, having to take so much time out of their lives to take care of me instead of taking care of their families. So basically what I did, or what they helped me do, was just to start writing down, what am I eating, when am I sleeping, am I exercising, and it doesn't even start like exercising. You think, wow, I have to, you know, go run or jog or get on a bicycle. And for me, it was just a matter of literally tightening muscles and releasing them just to get my strength back. I had not realized, but I had gotten to the point, I had no appetite. They say that there's now like a new diabetes number 3, which is Parkinson's and, you know, Alzheimer's and all of that. And there's also another thing that they've identified, which is a different kind of anorexia. It's not anorexia it's of the elderly. I know I'm not that elderly, but it's basically not that you have a wrong body image. It's that you have no desire for food whatsoever. So I was eating.
Yeah, when people stop eating, then the natural signals for hunger just shuts down. So
Completely gone.
Yeah.
Completely gone. I had no, like, I've dieted off and on my life, like I think most of us have, and it's always been, if you're not hungry, don't eat. So here I'm in a situation where I'm never hungry, so I'm not eating. I was probably eating a couple crackers and a piece of cheese or two, literally from the time I got up to the time I went to sleep. And that was.
And the doctor said that you were malnutrition.
When I got to the hospital, it was pretty shocking when they said I was malnutrition, because malnutrition, you think of somebody, you know, from a poor country,
Right,
or has no money and they can't eat because of that malnutrition. So it really was a wake-up call. And a lot of what I've learned from Miriam and her methods and her books and everything is it's not going to happen overnight, yet at the same time it does happen overnight. I was literally all hunched over, my face was gray, people were coming up to me and saying, "Are you all right? You look so terrible." And I felt so terrible. And I felt old and gray and lack of energy and pain. I always feel pain because of the back injury. That's a different issue. It's pain of life. And so I started just little simple things, making sure I ate 3 times a day. And the point wasn't what I ate, as long as it was healthy, it was that I was eating. You know, even I couldn't eat that much because I didn't have that much of hunger, I was eating 3 times a day. And I was writing it down, and my kids were monitoring me to help me along. And I'm still writing down everything that I eat. And at the beginning, it was just mechanical. Then it became a thing where I'm writing down and I'm noticing, wow, I'm starting to get my hunger back. Wow, I'm starting to feel better.
Yeah.
Sleeping better.
Yes.
And like I said, the exercises, I do a little more now, but I can't do a lot. Like people think exercise is going to the gym, lifting weights. I'm working on balance because I fell all the time. And it's simple stuff that I have to do, like core exercise, just, pulling my stomach into the mat and straight tightening. You wouldn't be surprised what exercise really is. It's not going for a jog. It's very, depends on where you're at. Everybody's in a different place. And I really didn't realize, it's funny. I mean, I know I've been feeling better, and I know I've been feeling like a different person, but I didn't realize how extreme it's been until Miriam pointed it out, and there was another friend who was buying me groceries when I was first ill, and when she came back a couple months later and she saw me, she was, wow, you look 10 years younger. What did you do? You look so fantastic. It's like, I do? Well, yeah, I do feel so much better. And so it was just basically, I got home from the hospital in January, and I've been doing this now from January until now, and I was in a wheelchair. My daughter bought a wheelchair for me so that she could take me to services during Pesach and Passover, and I was with a walker all the time.
And before the other injury of falling off of your bed, you were,
yes.
falling and
Yes,
falling. Yeah?
yes, falling over the last number of years.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily from the malnutrition, because the malnutrition really came about slowly until the point that I wasn't eating.
Right.
But
also your sugar, because
oh yes,
when
yes.
I would take my mom to these retreats, and getting her off of sugar also made a huge difference of her mobility. Yeah, so share that with us.
Okay, so basically it isn't just sugar. It's basically all things that are white.
Right.
No white potatoes, white rice, white sugar. If I'm having, it doesn't mean you're never going to have things sweet again.
Right.
And that's basically what I was kind of afraid of. Oh my gosh, I like sweet. And you can get it from fruit. Like today I was munching on some dried apple crisps that had a little cinnamon, and that's all it was. And I was so satiated, so satisfied. I was like, wow, I can have this, is great. So basically I cut down on the sugar, I cut down on, and as I cut down on the sugar, I found myself not wanting during the week to go get some, because every time I would have a little bit, I'd crave more. So
It's very addicting.
very, very addicting. And so I'm not perfect. I'm not as wonderful as Miriam is.
We're all wonderful. We're all on our own journeys.
I don't keep everything absolutely perfectly 100%. Every once in a while I have a little bit of white rice with, like seasoned really well, Persian or Bukharian rice. It's got all these seasonings and good stuff in it. Every once in a while, I allow my house to have a little bit, but not very often. I'm trying to just stick to healthy foods.
I'm just curious, do you know what blood type you are?
A positive.
Uh-huh. I've been, I studied it many years ago, and I recently got a gift from someone, so now I have, it was like, oh wow, I want to read this again. And I've been, again, realizing a lot of the things that's in the blood type was exactly like things I noticed that wasn't good for me, or the things that was good for me. And I found that actually was really helpful in a way, because like, oh, I want this and I want this, but what's the foods that most optimal for me and my blood type? Even if it's a fake and fraudulent book, God forbid, I don't say it is, but like just made the ability to like zone in on more of the foods that are gonna help me be mostly highly efficient with the food. So because there's so much choices sometimes, right? So when you said that, just made me realize that I'm wondering what your blood type, and we'll look it after just to see. Because some people can tolerate a little more carbs than others, depending on the blood type. But I always would say, when you are in a detox and trying to get healthy, it's a different thing than when you finally get to that healthy place. And then, moderation, you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
definitely moderation.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. The other thing is satiation versus being full. If you eat and you keep eating and you feel full, if you're stuffed, you really have to, at a certain point, like, okay, I know I've had enough, so I'm going to stop and wait and see how I feel in like 10 or 15 minutes. But like today, I found myself not really having to do that because I felt satiated. I felt complete with a small breakfast. And I'm not saying nothing when I had quite a few different things. But it's
when
just
it's the right things.
Exactly. I mean, I had some things that, many people think, no, you can't have fruit.
That was some of the things I want to talk about. and I got research on different things about fruit, because there is, some people say only, know this, know that, and here in this blood type book, all the things that there were no actually was highly good for me. So we got to be careful. There's so many varying, opinions.
Right. And now, you hear the diet of only eating meat and it's going to save your life, and only having this, and that's the only thing can happen. And like you say, everybody's type is different. You need different foods for your type, and you kind of have to find that out. At least you hope that you can find that out. And I haven't specifically looked into this, my blood type and that, so it's going to be very interesting to see what it is a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not swearing by this book, but in some psychological way, it's helpful to limit, the free-for-all, because you see so much, and I have many people in my home living here, and people are buying all kinds of different things that maybe I wouldn't buy, and I'm constantly seeing it. So knowing in my background, if I can choose between these two, because otherwise maybe I want this and that, and it's tempting. It's hard, especially when you don't have, fully control of what's in your own home. Especially women tell me, my husband brings this and this and this and that, and it's so hard. And I agree, because the seafood diet, you see it, you want it,
Right.
So in a way, knowing that something may be more beneficial to me than something else helps psychologically the challenge of the temptation while seeing it. I don't know, for me at least.
Getting a little bit away from the food aspect of this, I was just thinking about it, is my progress in the very beginning, I didn't notice that much of it, but all of a sudden, I went from wheelchair walker to these walking sticks in a super short period of time. It took a long time to get there. It was a few months before I could get there. But then once I started, I was like, wow, I can do this. And so much energy's come back.
Yeah.
I still walk, carefully. I still walk with someone. I don't walk by myself. I still walk with the upright stick like I was talking about. But, my family used to have to, leave so-and-so behind to walk soft up.
Yeah, during the
Because
retreat, I
she's gonna
remember.
fall down,
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Wow, I mean, and forgive me if I was too, on top of you when we were talking about the power of sugar and how it's so...
It's hard to hear.
It was hard to hear, but I was just I saw you keep falling, and I'm chasing her down, and I'm not going to budge because you're my dear friend, and I love you so much, and I had to share what I know from my mother's experience and from what I've seen elsewhere, and the drastic change from really even just getting off of the white sugars and the white stuff that's just, not only eating up our brain, but our body just malfunctioning. So I'm just so happy you're here as a testimony for this journey that you've been on, and that the success that you've achieved. The yagati matzati tamim.
There's one other thing that I wanted to say. It's sometimes in my life I've dieted, and I see no change.
That's what we're talking about, yeah.
And there was one holiday period where everyone was agreeing to diet, and at the end see where everybody was. Nothing changed. I was so good.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, a month later, I dropped 15 pounds.
Right, because in the Zone Diet book, it says it takes about a month to 2 months for your body to show the results in inches, you can actually see in your dress that, wow, you're not, and also to see on the scale. Of course, if you have the right scale, because sometimes, again, it's tricky. You're gaining, especially if you're, more climbing and, exercising during that holiday period, and you're building more muscle, which is a heavier weight.
That's what I think was happening is I was still doing the same things in terms of whatever physical, the way I was moving, but I was getting so frustrated. I'm so careful, and I'm not seeing any change. I still weigh the exact same. And all of a sudden, the next, whatever it was, a week later, I went to weigh myself.
Right.
15 pounds. No, I didn't lose that 15 pounds in 1 week. I was losing it over time, and my body just kind of wasn't catching up to it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I see it happen again and again, and that's why people give up. I happen to think the intermittent fasting is really a go-to. I've been doing it all my life, but again, it's now very popular, where you give your body some time of a reset where you're not eating from to 12, 13, 14, 15, even 16 hours a day. And you can be eating the same amount of calories, the same amount of food in that shorter window of time. Does help. Walking really helps, and weights and like getting, some kind of aerobic, just even a little, 10, 15 minutes also helps see the difference in the outside, not just see what's, because we can't really see so much what's going on the inside. And water.
Oh, yes.
Oh, let's drink.
Yes.
It's been a while. The chaim. And soon as the fast, so we really want to hydrate ourselves. So, any questions while we take a water break?
Amen. My water too.
What's your blood type, Miriam?
I'm blood type O, and for many years I was spiritually, without knowing, a vegetarian, feeling, I want to be spiritual. I don't want to have things that are killed, and then I got so sick. I was always sick, always with bronchitis, pneumonia, constantly so sick. And it happened to me when I was nursing my baby. I was not able to make milk, and I remember the latte practitioner, and I was reading at the same time because I was constantly sick with this baby. It was very hard. That you need to eat protein to make milk, and you're not getting enough protein. And the best protein is like flesh, chicken, fish, and meat. So I sacrificed my spiritual for the baby's sake, and at the same time, I was reading the Zone diet and how it was saying that to have a healthy immune system, you really need, animal protein. And then from a spiritual perspective, I was learning that you really need spiritually to elevate all the sparks, and it's also good for your brain and good for your body. So I was getting the messages everywhere that I switched my attitude towards spirituality and food, and instead elevation of the sparks of these foods that God created for the holy mission of my soul's purpose. And so I came to terms with eating, animal and fish and things like that. And then, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, never sick. Barely, ever. Like, crazy difference.
And it's interesting because the soul actually becomes loftier and becomes, you feel that lightening when you're eating what you're supposed to be eating. And it's not, oh my goodness, if I'm not vegetarian, or if I'm not vegan, or if I'm not keto, or whatever it is, it's what you're eating is right for you.
Exactly. You have to figure it out. Like,
I think it's important to note.
Yes. Hi. I'm so happy you're here.
It's important to know that it also is not only about the blood type, but also where you're from. Like for people who have Hispanic descent, it's a different type of, if you will, reaction to food. Most Hispanic people are intolerant, for example, to dairy. And most Hispanic people are intolerant to grains. So it's important to know that it's just from where you are. If you're Mediterranean and you're from like Hispanic descent, then you're gonna have different reaction to certain foods. So, like, not everything applies to everybody.
Yeah, and in his book, and I'll get the title soon, somebody asked, he actually puts categories. If you're Caucasian, if you're Hispanic, if you're, that it's different. It's so fascinating. Yeah.
For instance, for me, one of the main things is what to get off entirely of grains, entirely, because I'm from Hispanic descent, and that it causes a huge inflammatory reaction for me. But that doesn't wouldn't necessarily apply to everybody else. And so I'm all positive. So it's not just one factor, it's the many factors together that applies to one individual. And also counting the lifestyle. So many layers to living going back to living a healthy lifestyle that is just like, I just don't agree with like the fats or like the keto, and then you go and do this diet and you're gonna be, and you do that, and then like for everybody, and you do this and you that, and it's just people have asked me what I've done, but I always tell them this is what worked for me, not necessarily for you, but what worked for me. So that's really really important to note. And also I wanted to share with you guys, I've been reading this book. It's called You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I brought one of the books that I was going to also talk about today. But
it's by F. Batman.
Healing Waters also. I have, yeah.
And he whenever next meeting or whatever, I can share with y'all. Like he provides like 46 reasons why your body needs water every day. So and I always tell my kids, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. Big difference. It's the same feeling and the same reaction toward being thirsty in the body and being hungry. It's the same thing. So what I've done is that I drink a bottle of water, 1 liter bottle of water before I eat anything. So, and I wait like 10 minutes or so, and then I eat. So because it's not going to have the same, I need my whole body organs to hydrate, and then I eat.
Yes.
And the amount that you eat is going to be substantially less. I can tell you that. So that's one of the little things I wanted to share. So, sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Definitely, if I had to stand on one foot as the way the Rambam teaches us, number one, if you only could do this, is don't eat till you're full. Eat till you're almost satiated. That's the key component of, and all these other things we have to figure out for ourselves, Definitely another component is happiness, because happiness just makes our blood healthy. So, everything that also Sarah talked about, like getting rid of all these shame and guilt and all this like inner enemies within us, making us feel the acid of these toxic thoughts, like has its effect on our health too. So we'll be covering more as we go week by week, joining forces with all the people who are sharing their success of making little changes, but seeing big changes, huge changes. And I'm just, I can't even, like, I could cry from joy when I see the little that I've done to help another person open their eyes and help them and see the results. It's like my whole life was worth living for, to see that happening. And last night was one of those nights as well, and with you, Hannah, and with Sarah, and with all the people that have been, really taking this to heart and being.
I cannot say enough that if I hadn't really, I just want to make sure that people understand something. That if you can read the book, but if it doesn't actually click, like for me, it clicked like last year, and I've been a CBTT practitioner for a while, and then I was just like, it got to a point kind of get an aha moment, and it was like, and I had to think really hard. It's like, do I want to be in medication my whole life? That was my whole question. Do I want to be in medication my whole life? Do I want to be not able to function properly? How long do I want to live for my children and my family? Those those were like I was just asking myself, like, aren't you sick and tired of being sick? And I was like, that's one of the things I was like, aren't you, like, really, are you tired of being sick? It takes more energy and time to think about it and money to be sick rather than healthy. So if you investing in yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to mean spending tons of money and spending in yourself. If you take practical steps, like for instance, hormonal balance, you go into the sun in 15 minutes. One of the main things for women to be able to lose weight is hormone balance. If you go 15 minutes outside out the sun and take 15 minutes, then that is it decreases inflammation and it helps you balance your hormones. That's it, and it's free. It's entirely free. You can actually go walk, take sun, and increase your mood, and increase your and balance your hormones just by going out walking. And it's free. Baby.
Yeah, today I did my invitation. I went outside. I'm getting my vitamin D while inviting people to come.
Vitamin D vitamin D is a hormone. It's not actually a vitamin. People call it vitamin D, but it's a hormone.
Yeah.
So it's so incredibly important for the function of the body, and especially with women, because if our hormones are all out of whack, then guess what? You're not going to be able to lose weight. Guess what? Your estrogen levels are going to be high. And so if you're high in stress, then you're in fight and flight mode. If you're fight and flight mode, you're in inflammation mode. Like your brain is in inflammation mode. Your organs in inflammation mode. It's so many layers to stress, and then our hormones that one little thing that you do that is entirely free can make a big difference. So, like I said, it doesn't need to be. I have so many things I was studying about sleep and sugar. We're talking about sugar.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it's incredible what sugar does. Incredible, like how much of a detriment it causes to the body and the mind and the brain. Because our brain also, Miriam actually shared with me, Dr. Daniel Amen. He's been saying something that he says, and it's like in many ways, it's very much in line to what Miriam's been writing about for years. And he says a healthy brain, a healthy body. Think about what you're gonna consume. Is it good for my brain? If it's good for my brain, and it's good for my body. And he makes it more of he's not Jewish, but he's a kind of like a scientific approach to things. Miriam just does both together. So for me, it's like whatever. And I was hearing him, and I was like, oh my goodness, we have been saying this for I don't know how long. And so it's like refreshing to see scientists saying exactly what they're saying for such a long time. And so, like, one of the things that I've been reading is the side effects of sugar. Your skin.
Oh yeah, skin.
Another thing that does it, your liver. It says fructose processed in the liver in large amounts can damage the liver. And when fructose is broken down into the liver, it's transformed into fat. It causes fatty liver disease. Your heart. It causes more damage sugar rather than salt.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
And you drink too much sugar, the extra insulin in your bloodstream can affect your arteries all over your body. It causes the walls to get inflamed, grow thicker than normal, and more stiff. This stresses your heart and damages over time. Then we have heart disease, heart failure, heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, and so on and so on and so on. So, pancreas, kidneys, you name it. It causes so much. But then again, for me, in my case, I got rid entirely of sugar. I mean entirely.
Zero.
Zero minus zero.
Yeah.
I do not listen to that at all. I always look into like my labels, and I try not to buy anything that's processed, anything that I don't make fresh for myself.
Right, it's a good point, because something will say, and there was a video I posted, organic, but according to FDA law, it could be 70% organic, and then 30% chemicals and fake and fraudulent and dangerous substances. Or it could say natural flavors, and by law, natural flavors doesn't mean that it used 100% chemicals to extract the natural flavors. So you really have just as much ingestion of chemicals to have gotten that natural flavor. So there's a lot of fake labeling that we're not aware of.
Yeah, the word things like in a way that you don't really know.
Yes.
And Rabbi was asking, honey, if you ever like, if we're human, and if you make a mistake and you don't you didn't actually read label or whatever that may be, it's okay. I mean, it's okay. It takes time for sugar to get out of the body. It takes 3 more so months for your body to start actually healing.
Yes.
Now I got a detox of the body, because I started actually working on myself last year. Was November, November, around that time. But my body was so incredibly hungry for being healthy that it went so fast. It went so fast that my changes were really quick, because I was my body needed that needed to get everything out. So I went hardcore. Not everyone can do it, but I went hardcore. And I did exactly as Miriam said in her book, as meditation and visualization is so incredibly so important. It's so important because, for example, it was funny, you're gonna laugh. When I was I had something in my home, my kids sometimes they get something, or my husband gets something that's green and I can't eat it. I just think that there's worms in it, and
the brain training to get repulsed from the bad foods so that you're not as easily tempted. That helped me a lot.
Yeah, I just visualize there's worms in it and junky stuff in it, and I didn't eat it, and that really worked for me. And so, and every time, and it trains my brain every single time. Now it's if I go to reaction, I don't need to do that. I don't need to link food or emotion anymore, which that's a big step for everybody. Women we link food, or everybody, not just women. We link with the feeling that we're having. We link it to food to create satisfaction.
Excuse me, I have a question, if I may. So what do you do with the emotions? How do you deal with that emotion if you're used to eating when you have that emotion?
What I did, I internalized whatever I was going before when I started dealing with my emotions. What I would go and get a notebook and write down exactly what food I linked to what emotion. I pinpoint my behavior. For example, if I was feeling anxious, and I would go and eat, say, bread, and I would write it down, and then I would write down the reaction afterwards. What was it going on? How I was feeling afterwards. It's kind of keeping a journal of your own behaviors and reactions to food, and eventually, then once I pinpoint everything, all the foods that I was eating that were bad foods, and then the reactions to it, and I was and I became conscious about it, and I was oh my goodness sakes, this is that reaction that I'm having, even physical reaction. I would get sick. So, and I was oh my goodness, okay, this food is making me sick. This food, literally, I'm going to say a little bit up in private, but my cycle will increase and will be more painful if I eat something.
Oh yeah, for PMS,
Right?
when I changed my diet, no more PMS. It was
Exactly. And then this PMS thing that it tell you, oh, it's because it's PMS and blah blah blah.
diet.
A big factor of it is sugar that you consume, and it causes inflammation, and therefore you have the menstrual pain. And so it's such a sugar is such a thing that is for like it's an industry. There's a reason why it's an industry, and it's such a profitable industry because it leverages on us and counts us like to be addicted to it. So I'm such a right now. I'm into like the so passionate about like sugar, not sugar lifestyle. Sorry, I get too passionate about it.
No,
But,
it's so important.
Miriam, can I
Yeah,
jump
go
in
ahead.
here?
Yeah, go ahead.
You were talking about the person, I don't know who you are, but the person who was asked the question of what do you do with the emotional aspect of it? And I found that focusing on like, oh, I really want to have food. And then asking myself, what is it's going on right now? Just stopping and thinking, really being mindful and using your head and your brain to overcome that animal soul at once. You know, and then over a period of time, just doing that. Like, it might not happen over time, but I mean, right overnight is what I meant to say. But really stopping and thinking, okay, I really want to eat this, and what's going on right now with me, and even some of that emotion does go away just by being aware of it.
Yeah, it's true.
Or journaling it.
Sometimes it is a chemical reaction. The sugar is like cocaine to your brain. And it's very hard to go through the withdrawal of the chemical reaction that you're getting, the dopamine, the high happy chemicals that you're getting, and from the physiological parts of the food that's very addicting. So it's a matter of also, you know, realizing what you're up against and that it's not going to be so easy. In a sense of, if you're not doing the things that are emotionally satisfying and spiritually satisfying, then you won't as easily be pulled toward the physical to emotionally satisfy yourself. When you're emotionally satisfied from your prayers, from your learning, you get the spiritual spark. Your soul is more redeemed than the yearning and longing to like dissipate whatever things are going on in your life is a lot less. Like, it's organic. You don't even have to fight through it so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's also part of it.
Definitely.
It's just a byproduct.
Exactly. So true. And actually, foods, it brings energy to us. And I've been actually been studying about vibrational nutrition. All over. So because it says here, quantum shift asserts that everything has a vibrational nature. So,
I'm hearing a little like wind or something, like maybe a fan is on, or maybe someone else's fan is on. Maybe.
Let me hold on. Let me do this.
Because I can't hear you as clearly. And I don't know if this is recorded. It is being recorded on Facebook, but I'd like everyone who spoke's face to be on the ultimate recording for YouTube.
I don't think it was, but I don't think it was. When I came in, it wasn't.
Okay, so we have it on Facebook.
I have another consideration that, you know, if I'm going to do the detox, how am I going to feel if normally I'm shaky at times, and I take a piece of fish, and that makes me solid. That makes me less shaky. I feel balanced. I mean, I don't even have to take a lot. Maybe 2 spoonfuls of sardine or of wild salmon, or I will take some Gatorade.
Gatorade is sugar. Gatorade is sugar, so better take a date bar.
What would I drink and or eat if I'm feeling shaky or balanced when I do the detox.
So
water.
definitely water can help for sure, but let's say you don't have to, remember last week, we don't have to go all out and do it like this woman describes in her book. Each one can do baby steps to go toward a small detox, and then maybe in 6 months you'll do a more deeper detox, and maybe in a year you'll do her protocol. As long as you're aware of just a certain period of time of changing your regular habit. Maybe since now we are eating fish, but we're not eating chicken and beef, so maybe that's your detox, and you'll have the fish because you're shaking, you know, but at least you'll not have the chicken.
Is there a vegetable that anybody's eaten that makes them feel more balanced and solid and not shaky?
I mean, each person is different, but like if you need a little carb in a carrot, and she says best not to have carrot, you know, like you have to work within your range of your limitations of what you're going through and your medical condition and whatever you're, you know. But what did you say, Hannah?
It's very accurate what Miriam's saying, but also until true. But also, there's something called nightshades and starchy vegetables.
Yeah.
Nightshades, most of them, you have to consume it and really moderation, because most of them, not all, but most of them cause inflammatory reaction in the body. And my body, it was making me gain weight so bad. In me, that's me. And so I was just going through the list, and I just took, for example, I took off squash, because squash makes me gain a lot of weight, for instance. And so I want to post again. I have a list of nightshades, and I'm going to post it in the group again, so you guys can have the list.
Donna Gates says no nightshades during detox, and then naturally you'll see less aches and pains. Naturally you'll see, wow, I feel like more, and then you'll be more careful not to have too much nightshades. You don't have to completely get rid of it if it's not so damaging. Maybe long term it will be, but we can be in moderation. But we were talking about during the detox. For you saw how it was not good for you, so you're not going to go back to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like for instance, in the beginning, I was pinpointing everything. So I would eat tomatoes, it's a nightshade, and I would feel achy, like so achy. My joints would feel achy, and I took it off, and I just feel the difference. It's like, and now I consume it, but very, 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 very moderately, like very, very small portions, and if, because I love, for me, tomatoes, I love tomatoes. I love it. I just grew up like that. My family's from Spain, and so believe me, we consume tomatoes a lot. So, and that's how I grew up. But then I just started actually linking to, even when I was younger, even linking like the issues that I had, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was causing a huge inflammation in my whole body. Hence, we have respiratory issues. Hence, we have inflammation is one of the main causes of disease.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know what?
So,
I was watching a doctor talk about arthritis, and one of the foods that he said, tomatoes. And he said, if you gotta have tomatoes, peel the skin. Do not eat the skin.
Yeah, it's the chemicals they add when they grow them.
That's also true. Organic.
Yes. So you have to be careful, like not just like the food itself, but also the chemicals and how they grow it with.
Yeah.
And also, we have to think about, like, I was studying vibrational nutrition. We are energy as well. So, and even, like, Hasidus talks about it, the sparks, it all the time, talks about it all the time, but there's also a scientific side of it, that each food has a frequency. So, whatever we eat, it becomes part of us, and yes, part of our soul. And so, like, a vibrational frequency, for instance, of let's say red meat, for example, it's a really low frequency.
moderation, it's something that people can consume.
I'm wondering if in this book, did they do a verification of grass-fed beef versus polluted, corn-fed, fake, like food-fed animals and the different frequencies? Because people could be gaining weight from eating beef because they're eating corn. Because if those cows are being fed corn, you're eating corn because that's what they're made of the corn that they ate. Versus if they're fed properly, then you won't be gaining weight from eating beef. I noticed a huge difference when I switched to grass-fed meat.
It's not only that, the beef, they're putting hormones in it
Besides,
to make
yes.
it grow.
Yes.
And when it's got those hormones.
Yes, then it's in your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Corn is so processed. Corn is one of the, it's beyond me how much harm causes and inflammation it causes the body.
Right.
And corn is one of the main foods that people who are Hispanic descent that's part of it. That's part of their.
And they don't even realize they're eating fake corn, GMO, chemicals, processing.
Exactly. And Latin America is one of the highest rates of obesity and diabetes. Why? Because we consume a ton of corn, processed, damaging corn that has it's just sugar. It's sugar response to it. It's a sugar response. I can tell you, I took up corn entirely. It was hard.
I love corn, I know.
It was so hard. And for me, it's like kind of like people they have to have bread with something. And for me, it was corn.
Right.
So I took it off entirely, and I cannot tell you, my skin improved, my cycle improved, my responses to my immune system response improved. For me, it was grains. I don't used to consume grains, but that for me was a game changer, and I dropped weight like you would not believe.
Maybe share the success of how much you lost. I mean, you posted it on Facebook, so why not here?
189 pounds. That was November last year. And now I'm 143.
Wow. 45 pounds almost. Wow. Wow, and I know.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, Sarah, you can also, since you have posted in the group, like that you lost 60 pounds on this approach, and have been keeping it off. Baruch Hashem.
Right, I was yo-yo. I was always the person that going through yo-yo diet, so I would go on a diet, lose like 20, 30 pounds, and then relapse and go back and gain 40, 50 pounds, and then lose weight. So once I had a good understanding, I was able to lose give or take about 60 pounds, 60, 70 pounds, and been able to keep it off for about, Baruch Hashem, 3 years consistently. For me, that's a miracle because I wasn't able to consistently keep the weight off. I was always going from diet to all these extremes. I was going to mention something. There's a small little recipe. There's a snack. I believe I don't know. I think it was Janice that asked the question. It's walnuts and you just put it in the pan. You put a little bit of oil, whether it be avocado oil or olive oil, and then you just put the walnuts in the pan and let it toast. And then while that's toasting for about 5 minutes, you just put in a bowl. You mix together a little bit of maple syrup, cayenne pepper, coconut sugar if you want, because if you just need have a little sweet tooth, a little bit of vanilla. You mix it up together really good, and maybe some coconut, and then you put, after you heat up, you toast the walnuts. You put it in that sauce, and you put it in the oven and let it toast. So it's like and then you just take it out for put it in the oven for about 5 minutes or so. Just you smell it, pull it out, and it's a good taste, like it's just a little snack. You can put on your salad, or if you have a little sweet tooth and you just want something a little sweet and crunchy, but healthy, where it's not, causing you to, have a spike or, health issues. It's just something quick. I like it, and it helps satisfy that craving sometimes. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, actually, if you want, add it to the cookbook recipes. I'll have
Okay.
well, coming up with a cookbook. A miracle happened. The woman is going to very soon give me the graphics. I have to still find another graphics. I'm hoping, I told Hannah when she's available, she'll continue the work because this woman got married and moved and can't continue, whatever. So we have but thank God we're making headway with the cookbook, and you've been helping put things together. I can't wait. It's not a normal cookbook. It's a lot about what we, yeah.
Something about I have another thing that I've done, because people were asking about drinks. I am a tea person. I love tea. And so I must have been a British person in my past life. But I love tea. So what I've done, I got some star of anise, organic star of anise.
I love star of anise. Oh, it's like licorice tasting, sweet.
It's very sweet, and also I combine it with cinnamon in moderation, because if you are like a fire temperament, guess what? It's gonna get you. It's gonna get you more. So a little bit of it, and what else that I added? And I added all the other stuff, but mainly star of anise. It makes it gives it like a really sweet, like, taste. But for me, it's sweet because I went off entirely, so anything for me is sweet. So,
yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So star of anise, and it's incredible. It's incredible for blood pressure, and it's incredible for hormone balance. It's and so for stress, calming stress, and I've created actually I just want to share. I just finished my herbalism a few months ago, my herbalism certification. So
Yeah, Hannah. Wow.
Yeah. So I finished it, and so I mean, obviously everything's a tool. And one other thing, that turmeric, organic turmeric, it's one of the amazing things. That is one amazing herb that you can ever imagine for like hormone balance, for losing weight, for even getting fat off of you.
Oh, let me get the list that I have here. Hold on. I have a list of what's the benefits of
If you
turmeric.
combine it with ginger, and like you can tell me, and so it actually, you don't need to buy it. You need to buy the processed stuff. If you combine ginger with turmeric, it will get the fat off. I can tell you that. It's actually doing it for me. And I was like,
wow.
yay.
By the way, I don't know if Karen is on here. She's the one who really introduced me to go back to turmeric, because I was on turmeric many years, didn't really see an effect, and she switched me to a different brand of turmeric, and I saw huge results, not with my sleep, with my skin.
I do it too, what Karen's doing, but I also do it
In a juice, yeah. Wow.
I can smell like a crazy person, I can tell you that.
Yeah, is Karen here? If not, I'll share some of the lists of things for turmeric here. It's a natural and antibacterial agent. Really prevents different types of cancers, and helps liver detoxify, reduces the risks of leukemias and Alzheimer's by removing the amyloids and the plaque buildup in the brain, prevents metastasis from occurring in many different forms of cancer, anti-inflammation, and works very well, showing even like effects of aiding in the fat metabolism and weight management. It's been used as a medicine in China for treatments for depression even. Wow. Anti-inflammation for arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Boosts the effects of where the studies are showing how it affects even pancreatic cancers, all kinds of cancers is listed here. I'm just jumping around here. stops the growth of new blood vessels and tumors, speeds up wound healing, and assists in remodeling the damaged skin. My grandson just by accident nicked me. It was really deep, and normally it takes months to get rid of it. So soon, I thought, wow, it's gone.
Did you put it on it like?
No,
powder,
just
or
ingesting
you're eating it?
Yeah. And it's for psoriasis and other inflammatory skin conditions. So more about that. I don't know if Karen wants to, sometimes she's on the call, maybe she already left, but if you want more information how to get it from Karen, I'll give you her number, and she got a really good brand that I have noticed a huge difference. Huge, like energy level, sleep, skin, everything. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and also one of the things that another free tip, actually free thing that you can do this for free, and you do it every day. No, not right now. Can you go in Discord? So give me a minute, okay? Can you give mommy a minute? So sleeping properly, sleeping the whole night.
Free, amen.
You can actually improve your health. For instance, like this here, I love this book. It's called Why We Sleep. Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. He says something that is actually funny. It says, amazing breakthrough. Scientists have discovered a revolutionary new treatment that makes you live longer. It enhances your memory, it makes you more creative, it makes you look more attractive, it keeps you slim and lowers food cravings. It protects you from cancer and dementia. It wards off colds and flu, and lowers your risk of heart attacks and stroke, not to mention diabetes. You'll even feel happier, less depressed, and even less anxious. Are you interested?
Wow.
And so it's so funny how he says it.
Amazing.
But it's what it is.
Yeah, if people are under-eating, they might not be able to sleep. If they're overeating, they might be able to sleep. If they're too much on their computers, they're not able to sleep. And it's not their fault because they don't even know the blue lights and how it's affecting their circadian rhythm.
Especially
if they're
at nighttime.
eating, fruits and sweets and sugars at night, some people can have a sugar and go to sleep. Some people are super sensitive and can't sleep with the drug. Some people have coffee and go to sleep. Everyone's different, but you have to be your own, investigator and see what is causing you. Sometimes it's too many negative thoughts roaming around your head, and you can't calm your brain. So you need to do more meditations and more brain training techniques to have more mastery over your thoughts, the way we discussed. Anyway, wow, it's been so fun-packed, amazing information. I felt like we did a health summit today. I don't know. I didn't even look at the clock because I have my guest here and we were going to be together. And we've been 2 hours together here.
Can I ask one last thing?
And my husband's out of town, so I'm not rushed to
One
get
of the
lunch.
things that I was worried about in terms of eating more food was that I was going to gain a ton of weight. And I said, it's better that I be chubby and healthy than that I be thin and sick. And I found that going from eating almost nothing to eating 3 meals a day, plus having snacks of healthy food, I gained just a couple pounds and I'm staying the same. So even though we're
but
saying...
remember, you don't know if that's the good pounds yet.
Well, I think it's a good pound.
Yeah, it is a good pound. But we had a class on this, turn up the heat, and there's this person that said, you need food to burn food. And it happened to me a third time. I was in the hospital, I had a cucumber and egg, literally. That's what I ate, weeks and weeks, because I didn't have time to shop. There was just no time to do anything. And I gained 10 pounds.
Insane.
When I was not eating. So yeah, you need food to lose weight. And you need the right food.
So all these good, yummy things that are going to be in this cookbook,
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and everybody think about this. Don't let it, because we have, the society has been given the microwave mindset that they want everything done quickly,
Right.
done right now. No, it takes. What they don't tell you able to get to where you're supposed to be really patient with yourself. Yeah, sometimes you're going to mess up. Yes, it's fine. And then you get back up and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying and follow what Miriam is saying in her book. It's not just not having eaten properly. It's what you put into your soul, what you put into your mind, and obviously goes to your soul. What you put into your mouth, it's so many layers and layers and layers to losing weight. People think it's that people. You know what? People will tell me, "What if you close your mouth, you lose weight?" And that's not it. That is not it. No.
I closed my mouth and I got malnutrition, and my weight never changed.
Right.
Never changed. Whereas
Right.
now, I'm eating. And it's so
Exactly.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
Who you put people around you. That's another thing. That support group that you need to move on. Be mindful. And CBTT helps you also. Whatever people tell you that is not wise and is not negative, it helps you goes in here and it goes out the way.
Yeah.
And so really, really try to go through Miriam's video are incredible. All the brain training for kids, they're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Not just for little kids, it's for everybody. And so that for me was like, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is I was watching them when I was going through my training, and I was like, and I watched them again. I can tell you that. So and try to, like I'm trying to say, it's like really patient and gentle with yourself.
Yes.
And try to write down, whatever works for you, but for me was like giving a food emotion journal. And I actually designed a food journal, like emotional one.
Yes, please share the link so people can order it.
I designed it, and I still online for people to buy. But I also certified myself as an emotional release coach, and I use art and color to do that. And I use CBTT as well, so I mixed everything up, but it works really well. So I do, and it helps me a lot. That's why I designed it, because it was like a necessity for me, so I thought it was a necessity for somebody else. So, anyways, so I hope that,
I'm so happy you were here to join us, to be part of the solution by sharing your success and and the joy in giving others hope, that they're not alone, and that yes, it's not so easy when you don't know how to do it right, but when you have the support and you're getting the tools and what you need to do it right, it's a lot easier to reach that goal in a most efficient time.
I'm so grateful for Miriam, because a lot of the stuff you think you have to, oh, my life is going to be miserable because I'm dieting. It's like, wow, I feel so much better.
I'm so happy. You don't know, I was beaming last night seeing you walk, and it brought back a lot of heartache in a sense to, because I witnessed my mother and her challenges, so it was like, that's a whole nother class, so seeing you take to heart the message and applying it and being open to it and not hating me for it, or not like,
no, you're fantastic. Saved my life.
Yeah,
really saved my life.
It just brought Neshama and peace, and like all the years of trying to put out what has so helped me out in the public, and to see just 1, 2, 3 people like Diana, and it's just I can't express it. There's no words for the satisfaction a soul feels that all her pain and all her suffering, led to some good for another person. Because had I not gone through that pain.
Want anything in support? Text me. I have 3 boys, so believe me, it gets really loud in here. That's why I'd rather not talk on the phone.
Right.
because my voice is so loud. And so I'm going to just put my phone number right here. And so everyone, if you have any questions or whatever.
Yes, and we have a WhatsApp support group. Private message me your number and we'll add you, where I post the upcoming class. I post the recorded class if you want to share it with others, and if you didn't see it on Facebook. And also, we have dialogue back and forth with questions and answers by our CBTT practitioners, which you are now official. Congratulations! I wish I had the certificate printed out to give it to you, but Baruch Hashem. She's we're updating our website because there are, and you are on my website.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have new practitioners that are on my website, so the course is free. You go online. Thanks to Hannah, Miriam, who really, really did a beautiful job saving my website and putting it all together. And so that way, when people need support, we go on the website, and there you are. They can reach you to get your support.
Definitely.
There's Sarah also, and there's Devorah. There's more. Sometimes there's time periods where, someone is not available because kids are, not in camp, but some people are in different stages. They're, more available than other times. But anyway, we're here to support you. The website is yournewheights.org. Many health classes, the CBT training course is there for free. Please God, do it. And I could see you saying, the CBTT approach saved my life, mind, body, and soul. All right, thank you everyone for joining. It was perfect. It was beautiful. I felt like we were at the getaway. I just called the lady who we were trying to do that getaway at that detox place. But I did find out I am traveling, so I might have to wait till after the holidays to organize it. Sarah also is helping with that. We've been talking about planning it. I didn't forget, because every year, usually August, we do this, retreat. But life, and we'll see. We'll do it, but at a later date. So I can't wait for us to get together again here next week, same time. Not same time, because we changed the time to Tuesday because the fast is Wednesday night and Thursday. So, but if there's going to be a class tomorrow, I'll post it. Which someone is trying to organize a Tisha B'Av event. Okay, so I think it's okay not to do the meditation here because now there's family here and it's been 2 hours plus. So we will go to my website. There's a lot of meditations and we will do that next week. All right, thank you so much. This is way better for me to share her story than a meditation. I'm so happy.
I wasn't sure I was going to do it, but if it can help somebody.
Yeah, no, we didn't plan it. She slept over, and I saw what a difference with my own eyes.
And Sarah, I really appreciate a different view of all this. It really puts things in a different frame of mind. Really, it was great.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right, bye-bye. Sweet, sweet rest of the day and beautiful week. And we'll hopefully not end the week. We'll be in Jerusalem with the Beit HaMikdash already up. And this does have to do, I was debating whether to do this during the 9 days, whether to postpone it. I'm like, no, this is building our own Beit HaMikdash, which helps build the ultimate Beit HaMikdash. When we take care of our body, for our soul, we're building the Beit HaMikdash for God. And we will be together celebrating soon, all of us in Israel. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.